And good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Comic Corner here on the Agents of Fandom Network, here on Facebook, YouTube, and the Bad Place. My name is Damon. I'm your host. What we do here is comic book news, reviews, and interviews. I am joined alongside this week by TJ, aka Fat Thor. Everyone say good morning to him. It is very, very, very early for him.
It's not that early, man. Y'all make it seem like
For
it's
most
like
people.
3 in the morning. But hello, everybody. It's great to see you. I unfortunately could not make last week. I was out saving the world, so it's good to be back, baby. And we got some great books. Some books I didn't get to talk about last week, so we got some last week ones to wrap up.
We got some this week. We got some last week. Here's what we got on our rundown for the today. When I was a boy, we get to see the origin of absolute Bane, and it is absolutely wild. It's wild. The best way I can do it. Avatar: The Last Wakandan. New issue of Ultimate Black Panther dropped. We're finally starting to see where things are going with this series. I wasn't anticipating us going this route, but I'm very excited. And also from Marvel, from bad to good to bad to good again. This is Black Cat. A new run of Black Cat is here. This is written by G. Willow Wilson. I was very excited for this one. This was announced. New issue dropped this week. You know how much I love Jed McKay's run. Does it live up to Jed McKay's run? Well, we will talk about it. But first, we have a new solicit that came out this week. We should have full Marvel solicits either this week or next week. But this one came out yesterday, and I raised an eyebrow because Wiccan's getting his very first solo title, which is very exciting. I like Wiccan. You know, I love the Scarlet Witch. But there's one thing here for me, TJ, and I think it's something we've discussed many times. I'm very excited about this, by the way. It's written by Wyatt Kennedy. This is, as we've described, the MCUification of comics. The synergy, the Marvel synergy, because this is called Wiccan, the Witch's Road. Moon phases and all. Everyone remembers my moon phase when we were doing Agatha all along.
Your crystal phase?
Yeah, crystal phase. No, specifically moon phases. I got very into moon phases. This is just, it's very, very MCUified. Down to the T, where we're putting Wiccan down the Witch's Road, and we have the moon phases above. Now, on paper, I'm actually not totally against this. I'm not totally against this. So long, TJ, as they don't do the whole and Wiccan made up the Witch's Road all along, because Witch's Road is very important to the Scarlet Witch in her comics and the James Robinson run. But first thing, I sent this to you yesterday, just like as an here we go again. What are your thoughts on this?
Oh man, how long do we have? I mean, I have a lot of thoughts on it, honestly, both good and bad. We talked about this before. I'll start with the good though. Good. Wiccan's getting a solo series. Awesome. I love that. New talent attached to it. Someone we haven't really seen. I mean, I'm sure they have a very good catalog, but at least from Marvel. So that's also exciting. See what they can do. The things that are not exciting, that are disappointing to me, I know, I mean, I don't think we know this yet, but I know this is going to be 5 issues, which we've talked about before. Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. And it makes it hard.
At least they announced it already as 5 issues.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard. We've talked about this. It's hard to get excited for me for something I know is only going to be 5 issues. And then the last point, which is really hard for me because I mean, we've done this show for a long time now. People can go back and watch episodes. I have always been, I don't know if I'd necessarily say a fan, but I've always been cool and like kind of excited about the MCU synergy stuff when it's done well. I think that when it is used to be like, hey, this is something that you saw in a movie and you can see this in the comic book, but like that's where it ends. That I'm all for, like getting people into comics, getting people into the stores. I'm all for that. But when we are starting to like really change things in the Marvel comic universe, influenced by the movies, that's where I think we're getting into murky waters. That's when I am not really a big fan of it. And I feel like we've really been hitting that harder this last year. So I hope that this is a case of like, hey, look, this is some you remember this from Agatha. Like it looks like him, and like we have the Witch's Road, but the story will be completely its own thing, exploring Wiccan. So that would be my hope. Like you said, if it turns out to be like it's explaining how Wiccan created the road, and then like that explains like Agatha's show, right? I'm not gonna be crazy about that. Let's just
Mm,
say.
for sure, for sure. So this is written by Wyatt Kennedy. You may know him from Knights from Image Comics and art from Andy Pereira, which, to at least League of Comic Geeks' extensive background, first official work from Andy on interiors. This cover is
Let's
from
go,
Lucas
Andy.
Warnick. So I'll read the solicit very quickly. Something Wiccan this way comes. A dark macabre adventure waits down the witch's road that will reshape Wiccan and the magical fabric of the Marvel universe forever. Wiccan and Hulkling arrive back on Earth, but nothing is ever easy for Marvel's favorite former space emperors. I'm not going to get into Imperial this week. I think I'm going to save that for next week because we have so much comics this week, but that does come across the what happens in Imperial. With Hulkling grievously wounded, it is up to Wiccan to save the day, but at what lengths will he be willing to go to do so? I'll give it a try. I'll give it a try. They created this story. They created this story solely so they could use the tagline "Something Wiccan this
Yeah,
way
honestly, they
comes."
cooked
Yeah,
with that. They whoever in the marketing team came up with that, they cooked with that.
that's pretty good. It is pretty good. So I'll give it a shot. I think you will as well. We both like Wiccan. I love the magical side of the Marvel Universe. Again, so long as it's not too MCUified, I think is the thing. I'll say this. I do think we'll get a new costume, TJ. I'll put very heavy odds that there will be a Whipple involved.
Oh, wait, a what?
A Whipple, the crown.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that's what it was called. I'm like,
A
wait,
Whipple.
what's a whipple?
It's
Well,
called
can
a
I ask you something very
yes,
quickly before we
yes.
move on with the MCU synergy stuff?
Mm,
So you're more knowledgeable in the magical side than I am, obviously, with Scarlet Witch and all that. Do you feel like personally that Scarlet Witch and or the magical side of Marvel Comics have felt the MCUification more than others, like with the popularity of Wanda in the movies,
no,
or no?
no, not yet.
I was just
Not
curious.
yet. Not yet, because Wanda's been such a complicated character, obviously, as we all know throughout the years. Um, because of how deep her character is in comics, they can't just MCU her in that way,
Mhm.
if it makes sense. So someone like Wiccan, they may have a little bit more leeway to do so. The Guardians of the Galaxy, they did it the most, obviously.
Oh yeah.
But so far on the magical side, it has not been felt as much as it has on other sides. On to DC, on to our reviews. This is absolute Batman. Number 11. I had to look behind me to make sure what number it was. This is written by Scott Snyder, artist Clayman, colorist Ivan Palencia, letterer Clayton Cowles, editor Sabrina Futch, Andrew Marino, Katie Kubert, and Chris Conroy. Wow. What an issue. We go back and forth. We did it a few weeks ago. I think I may go back to it at some point soon. Our little absolute power rankings, if you will. Issues like this, man, push Batman back up into that upper tier echelon
Dude,
because
it's
we learn the origin of absolute Bane, and it is tragic. It is heartfelt. There are twists and turns in this issue because we go back to present day where Bruce, Batman, obviously has escaped Ark M, and Bane is out to find him. And what happens when Bane finds him? Crazy things happen. I actually don't want to get into too full spoilers here because I want people to like really read this fresh. But Bane's origin is tragic. Grew up on an island, a war-torn island, fights against, opposing military forces for freedom under his father's wishes. His father dreams of like this beautiful bird, and the bird will be free and fly. It's a little Quetzal. But when Bane dreams, that bird is not a little bird. It's a large bird. It's on fire. It's a
Say on
phoenix,
fire,
right?
dude.
Yeah, it's a phoenix with the tail and the body of a skull. It's just so well done. What happens when Bane and his father, who end up in prison for decades, building up, getting larger? What happens when they escape? They run into a certain individual who's really pulling all the strings in the end. Beautiful story, wild story. And then the twist at the end almost made me mad, but there's a twist to the twist. And I sat back and said, okay, I'm fully back in. TJ, what'd you think of this issue?
I loved it. I loved it. I mean, I can just echo everything that you just said. Bane is one of my favorite Batman villains. I've always been a big fan of him, and I think his origin here it's perfect. I mean, it's basically like if The Dark Knight Returns was good. Like if his character in that movie was good and his story, it's like they took that and made it what it should have been, and awesome. So I mean, I cannot say any more great things about it. Like you said, I don't want to get into too much spoilers, but there's one moment I think really gives us the best insight that we've gotten on this absolute Bruce. Like not him as Batman, him as Bruce. I think that we get the best kind of insight of what's going on in his head, like who he is out. Because I mean, really, we haven't explored Bruce that much. Like, yes, with the friends and stuff, but like even when he's Bruce, like he's Batman, right? So I really love that aspect of it. And just the way that they did Bane, I just love it. Like how he's smart. I'll do one little spoiler. So they
Yes,
talk
I
in
was
this.
gonna say that. That's the
Yes,
thing, that they
so
put the
clever.
venom. They make the venom not just so he is this monstrosity, this abomination of a human being, but the venom also impacts his brain and what he's able to remember, and the libraries and catalogs of information, as well as being able to memorize every martial arts, fighting, everything. He's seen it all. No matter what this Bruce can do, no matter what he does, he can put him into a trap. It doesn't matter.
He's got
Even
a
if he outsmarts him, he's just got the brawn to get himself out of it too. Like,
yeah.
this is an abomination of a human being.
He's got a freaking buff ass brain, man. Like
Mhm.
it's so cool. And they talk about too how he can like control every single muscle and like molecule in his body perfectly, which is like what makes him it just so creative, such a creative way to not necessarily change like a Venom or anything, but just again make it just so much cooler. So I mean 10 out of 10. I wish we should do an episode just of spoilers because there's so much more I want to talk about. But I
But you
mean,
know
if
what?
you're not reading
Let's
this,
get into a very quick spoiler here. Let's get into a little quick spoiler at the very least. And I'll say this for people who are not reading this, just to catch you up so you kind of understand what we're talking about. Arc M is essentially this lab that experiments on people and turns them into someone like Bane, someone like we saw in Arkham, like a Poison Ivy, who is the Green. Like, she's not just like a singular person; she just turned into the Green. We saw, I believe, like an absolute Clayface in there as well, like
we
crazy
saw
stuff.
the sign, but in like the collage, I was trying to point. I mean, they're all just freaky looking, man. So
Oh,
it's
it's
honestly
like
hard.
Dark Souls level monsters that
Yes.
Arkham is
Oh
turning these
my
people into. And
God.
Arkham is fascinated with Bruce because they see Bruce as being the successor to Bane.
Who they call
In
Prime, by the way,
Yeah,
right? Dude.
yeah. They see Batman, they see Bruce as being the next this, which is wild. They've experimented on people before. Most of them don't get out. However, they did drop some names of those who did get out, including Deathstroke, which I was very excited about because, hey, maybe that means we can get like an absolute Titans and see them go against this version of Deathstroke. To go into spoilers, because I kind of have to, what they go into is a bit of a how do I say a bait and switch. You see a future, you see a reality that's not really happening at one point. And they show a page, and I'm like, I don't like this anymore. I don't like this direction. But they bring you back into that's what would have happened if Bane went this way. But instead, Bane's going a different way, is going after other people. We already see what they did to Waylon, who is Killer Croc, who still seemingly is friends with Bruce, which is good. But what happens when they go after the others? We know we're getting Absolute Catwoman. I don't know who else, if his friends will turn on him or not. TJ, let's wrap this up. What'd you get? How would you rate this? You know I'm very rare when I say this. I'll say this. 5 stars.
I think I gotta agree. I gotta go 5 on this one. I mean, there's really I cannot think of one thing that I was like, nah.
Yeah, really not one thing. I love this book. This kind of really brought me back into it, and I think this is like a penultimate issue of this volume. So I'm fascinated to see how the Abomination story arc wraps up. Absolutely, all pun intended. Fascinated by it. Stick in the Absolute universe. This is Absolute Flash number 6. This is written by Jeff Lemire, artist Nick Robles, colorist Adriano Lucas, letterer Tom Napolitano, and editors Ash Padilla, Andrew Marino, Katie Kubert, and Chris Conroy. This is a bit of a step back issue. We learn the origin, another origin book in the Absolute universe this week, of the Rogues. And kind of like they were a group of military operatives who, all pun intended, went rogue, took a bribe from the opposing military force, and essentially were exiled away. Wally's dad comes in, brings them all back together, introduces them into Project Pegasus, which is led by Barry Allen, and we just get that story. So just getting that story is like, all right, that's cool. I kind of wish we got a little bit more of that because of where we left off Wally in the last book, where it's like him and little baby monkey Grodd just kind of like teaming up, saving the day. I wish we like went back to that a little bit, but okay. It's still neat. Captain Cool's cool. They're just cool designs. It's a fine book. I think this is still in the lower pantheon of Absolute titles, just because I feel like it is taking a little bit to get where I want to go, which is fine.
Yeah.
Which is fine. But it's fine.
Yeah. I feel like which I'm behind on this, so please take this with a grain of salt, but I feel like these last 3, the like most recent 3 entries for the Absolute, have been struggling to reach the highs of the Trinity, like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just feels like they're struggling to reach that. Am I off base there? Do you get what I'm trying to say?
No, I know exactly what you're trying to say.
Yeah, like I said, not in a bad way, just like the momentum. I feel like it's hard to match that Trinity because it's been like so crazy. So
it's also
I'm
a DC Trinity. Like
exactly,
people are more familiar also.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
I think
hoping
people are
that
more
these kind of
familiar
ramp up a little bit
with the DC Trinity. So when you throw in some names and stuff, hey, I'll say this much: we get Absolute Jay Garrick in here. It was essentially the first test subject of Project Pegasus.
That's
which is
awesome.
cool.
I love the Flash, man. He's one of my dudes. So, like I said, no shade at all when I said that.
Yeah, Jeff Lemire is still great. Has great little humor throughout, where it's like, hey, how did all this stuff come together? They show a very quick thing of like Absolute Jay Garrick just essentially getting roasted, and he's like, yeah, that's classified. It kind of shows Barry being a little bit of a bad person, which is fascinating. Wonder
I don't
how
trust Barry in this universe. From what we've seen of him, at least.
Led this. He led Project Pegasus. He's leading all of this. He's the lead scientist. So
yeah, I don't trust. I see a little reverse Flash situation going on there.
like that. I like that. Speaking of villains, question mark. This is Black Cat #1. This is written by G. Willow Wilson, artist Gleb Melkoff, colorist Brian Reber, letterer Joe Caramagna, and editor Tom Groneman. I love Jed MacKay's Black Cat. I really enjoy Jed MacKay's Black Cat. When they announced Black Cat was getting a new book, I was like, okay, who's writing it? That's very important. And it was G. Willow Wilson. I was like, sold. Love G. Willow Wilson's titles. I think she will kill it. She does such an amazing job on Poison Ivy. But to go back to something you said, I believe this is a miniseries. Seems like it. Maybe if it sells really well, they'll continue it. But DC gives a green light to minis becoming ongoings more often than Marvel does. So I'm not holding my breath on that. Still, this shows Felicia Hardy in the world of Spider-Man going on right now, where there's kind of like 2 Spider-Man and Hellgate stuff, and I'm not keeping up with Spider-Man, the mainline Spider-Man at all, but I'm like vaguely familiar with what's going on. There's like Space Spider-Man and On-Street Spider-Man, and On-Street Spider-Man's not talking to Felicia, and Felicia's getting all mad about that. Understandably so. It's Felicia. Even though what I did like about Jed MacKay's run is she's like, I don't need him. And they hardly ever talk about Spider-Man that whole run. This shows Felicia just kind of doing her thing. She's a little bit out of it, hazy in the head, because New York's just kind of becoming more and more of a crap hole. She goes to Night Nurse quite often in this issue because she got into a fight with Lizard and just kind of like had an epiphany. I'd be like, I'm not getting my muse right now. Everything is bad in this city. So if everything's bad, I can't be bad. I'm not having fun with this. So what is she going to do by the end of this issue, TJ? She's going to try to become a good guy once again. Be a hero in New York. And that's how this issue ends. So a fun little issue. I think the art here from Gleb Melnikoff, I mean this in a good way, because John Romita Jr., years ago, I think his art's pretty good. Years ago. I respect John Romita Jr. for the art he puts out now, for the capacity of what he puts out now. He's doing so much. So I'll give a little leeway with that. I know it's a bit of a hot button issue, Jar's art. But the art in here from Gleb Melnikov gives, as you say, it gives some early JR with the faces in a good way. So I think if you're looking for a little bit of nostalgia there in a way, I think you'll get it.
Hell yeah. That sounds, the way the story's going definitely sounds like Wilson. Like, her typical, like you said, she's going good. So that fits perfectly for me. But again, 5 issues, man. Like, especially with G. Willow Wilson. Like, you can't give her at least 10. Tragic.
Yep. Oh, well.
Tragic.
Miniseries be miniseries. Welcome to the miniseries of Marvel. Let's go to Image real quick. This is from the Invincible universe. This is Battle Beast, written by Robert Kirkman, artist Ryan Otley, and colorist Annalisa Leone. TJ, is this the last issue of Battle Beast?
I don't think so. Definitely did not feel like a last issue for sure. If it was, I'd be super upset.
Sorry, I see a 4 on there, and you never know anymore.
Yeah, true. We're getting close to that 5, man. I should start sweating. But I mean, Battle Beast is great. Again, if you're a fan of Battle Beast and the Invincible universe, there's no way you're not going to like this. One of my favorite aspects of it, at least so far, like we have a loose kind of main story, like Battle Beast discovered this like little freak alien dude, and he's supposedly this prince of this planet. So like he reluctantly agrees to help him get to his planet in the hopes of someone there will be able to kill him. If you don't know, that's Battle Beast's whole thing. And so like that's kind of the main story, but each issue is just kind of its own solo adventure. Like Battle Beast and this little alien dude wind up on this planet. Some freaking monster tries to kill him, and Battle Beast just wrecks him. Every single issue. It's awesome. It's badass. It's just a good just a good old bloody time. Like if you like just like action and just kind of absurd craziness, this is the book for you. I can't say enough good things about it. Again, fan of Invincible, this is a must read for sure.
I've learned throughout the last 4 issues of you describing Battle Beast, because I'm not an Invincible reader. I know. I'm sorry. I'll get on it. I'll get
Yeah,
on it.
sure.
I will someday. Who knows when?
Yeah.
Someday.
And
I will.
Marvel's gonna release 6 issues of a series.
That's good. I've learned that Battle Beast is like the Invincible Universe, Kraven the Hunter, in a way, where you're always just looking for the next battle, the next hunt
Yep.
in Kraven's issue. So it sounds interesting. Sounds like something I would enjoy.
It's a
think
hoot
I've
and
asked this
holler book,
before.
man.
Hoot and holler
It's a
book.
hoot
I
and a
think I've asked
holler.
this before, but just to clarify, if you've never read Invincible, can you get in on this?
Absolutely. You don't need Invincible is not even in the book. They have not even mentioned him. It is completely Battle Beast's show. It's Battle Beast's world. We're just living in it. So if you've never watched, read, know nothing about Invincible, but again, you just like some crazy, brutal action, great splash pages from Ryan Otley. It's like, again, I can't imagine how you could not like this book, honestly.
Fantastic. Let's go back to Marvel. This is Ultimate Black Panther, number 19. This is written by Brian Hill, artist Carlos Nieto, colorist David Curiel, letterer Corey Pettit, and editors Michelle Marchese and Will Moss. I mentioned earlier Avatar, The Last Wakandan, a bit of a spoiler for how this book is going in a direction and what I mean by that. We learn a bit more about the vibranium. We kind of like wrap up. It's a big summary. The first half of this issue is a big summary of what's been going on. And it's a good way to do it, where Killmonger and the new Sorcerer Supreme Inan have a discussion. Just be like, okay, let's kind of like summarize things. What's been going on? So, vibranium is alive. They accidentally unleashed some thing that is inside vibranium, and it turned into this big monster and is running rampant all over the continent of Africa. T'Challa and Storm go after it, while Killmonger and Shuri and Okoye stay in Wakanda and this new Sorcerer Supreme stay in Wakanda to just kind of help manage the politics and everything after Ra and Khonshu just wreaked havoc on Wakanda prior to this. Their actions, Ra and Khonshu's, helped activate whatever was in this vibranium, this being, as I called it, it's almost like a commentary on AI in a way. You can't trust technology, kind of comes out. What is revealed here is that in the Ultimate Universe, at least, because again, vibranium is something we really don't know too much about, like its origins in any continuity. In the Ultimate Universe, at least, it serves as a gateway to another dimension. And this is a dimension that has possibly something to do with the gods. So it's almost like a material
Hickman's gods?
of the gods. Not Hickman's.
Or just like gods in general?
Gods in general.
Okay.
Like us. So, as this evil vibranium thing runs around, what comes to T'Challa to save the day is Bast herself. And her pitch is and now we understand why the Moon Knight of it all comes in. Her pitch is essentially, I need you to be my avatar. And this is how we stop it. And I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Hell
That's
yeah.
something that like it all kind of makes sense with like why we brought in the gods from the beginning, why we brought in Ra and Khonshu and Moon Knight, is because the vibranium comes from that source, and the only way for T'Challa to deal with this, who has this in him, it's in his blood. It's not like a Spider-Man thing where everyone can become Spider-Man, unless you're in Andrew Maguire's universe. Andrew Garfield. Good Lord, Andrew Maguire
Yo,
from
what?
insane.
Andrew
I just made up.
Maguire.
I just made up a new human.
Hey, the
Andrew Garfield's
multiverse is
universe.
crazy, man.
Golly. Yeah, so this is like something that like he can only do, and that's how this issue ends, is him going to like Bast's temple to kind of like start to get this done. Should we trust Bast? We don't know. Killmonger and Okoye are, or Killmonger and Inan are kind of like back, and Okoye are back in Wakanda. They also find out that Shuri was the mole. Shuri was the mole all along.
Oh shit.
Yep, she got her dad killed.
Damn. What?
Darn.
Damn,
Oh
I
well.
need to catch up, man.
Yeah, crazy stuff going on with that. So a very cool issue. I know there's been like some talk about like, I just need this book to just kind of like get somewhere. Like we've been getting
I say,
somewhere.
sounds like we
We've
got there.
been getting somewhere. So this is the big. We're here. Let's get rolling. Let's get this train going. We're full speed ahead. So very cool issue that both summarizes if you've been a little confused on what's going on, and also sets up the next big thing.
Love it. I cannot wait. I love this series. When we were talking, I think 16 was the last one I read. And again, not because I'm not liking it, just because I'm a busy bee. But yeah, I like this series. And based on everything you're telling me, I love it. I love the direction they went. Like we talked about, it was kind of a where are we going after this kind of question. And sounds like they nailed it. So I'm super excited.
A book so good, even Andrew Maguire would like it.
Yeah, Andrew Maguire loves this, dude.
Oh man, Captain Planet. I didn't get this issue, so you're gonna have to tell me all about it. This is written by David Pepose, artist Iman Casillas, colorist Jorge Sutul, letterer Jeff Eckelberry, and editor Joseph Rybant. Tell me what happens in the third issue of Captain Planet.
Well, first of all, I'm going to have to take your Planeteer ring.
You never gave it to me. I never got it.
I thought you had it. That was my fault.
No.
I take responsibility. I'm sorry, everybody. I also want to say, too, I thought I was muted when you were talking last time, so I'm sorry if everyone just heard me, like, slurping my coffee down while you were talking. But to Captain Planet, I mean, it's a great third issue. So first two issues we're kind of really getting introduced to our Planeteers, the different kind of personality aspects that they have, like, who clashes with each other, like how, all that kind of good stuff. And then this issue, we're kind of hitting the gas. Captain Planet shows up. We get a good, not reveal, but introduction of Duke Nukem, which is a great Captain Planet villain. We also get some mentions of other, like, the villains are coming in. I don't want to spoil too much, but there's at least 3 or 4 that we get either introduced or mentioned in this. So the world is slowly starting to expand. And something I really loved about this, which I feel like it was sort of like this in the cartoon, but it feels like Pepose is kind of really digging into this a little deeper, is the sense of like Captain Planet. So I'll just spoil it, really. But basically, I thought this was really clever and interesting. Is Pepose makes it that since pollution and like our atmosphere has gotten so much worse since like when Captain Planet was rocking, he can only be manifested for like a very limited amount of time, because the pollution in the air like causes him to, I don't know, whatever magic's at play there with Gaia. So it's left up to the Planeteers to figure out how to win this bat, like what they're supposed to do. And I thought that is, like I said, a very clever way to once again give the Planeteers a little bit more urgency, and not just, call Captain Planet and he fixes everything. I thought that is very interesting. I think that's going to lead to a lot of great opportunities to further explore the Planeteers and just the relationship of Captain Planet to the planet. I think that's really cool. So really exciting issue. I'm really excited for where this is going. Get a great little scene of my boy Mati. Everyone talks shit about the power of the heart, but he's going to show you that it is a pretty dope power. So yes, definitely pick this up. If you're a fan of Captain Planet, if you're not a fan of Captain Planet, I think there's something in here you'll enjoy.
Last book of the day from Boom Studios. This is Grimm 24. This is the penultimate issue of Grimm from Stephanie Phillips, artist Flaviano, colorist Rico Renzi, letterer Tom Napolitano, and editor Naya Bollinger. I love this book so much. For those who haven't been keeping up with it, this is a world where there are reapers who work for death. Death is a being, time is a being, the end as a concept is a being. So if you like those ideas, and as I said before, and you don't want it to be written by a terrible person, because Stephanie Phillips is a fantastic individual, I think you'd like this book. It's very cool. In this book, the conclusion of the first volume is essentially because death and the end disappear, no one can die. And we've been dealing with that essentially for like the last 10, 12 issues. And our heroine, Jessica Harrow, who is the child of death, has declined her right to the throne to become the Grim Reaper, the Death. So who someone else takes over essentially, and now in this issue, we see a beautiful discussion of the new Grim Reaper, talking with a writer people are finally dying, as life should. And he's taking it very personal. Like he really accepts this position and is like, I'm choosing the people I will bring and have a discussion with them about, like, very much like how we've seen death portrayed and other things, where it is a compassionate being, not just an evil being, which I think you and I, we both love when like the idea of death is compassionate. Meanwhile, Jessica seemingly has become mortal. Seemingly. It's a penultimate issue, because if this was the last issue, this would be a beautiful ending. But there's one more. And when she is in a relationship with time, the being of time, things can get a little willy wonky. So who knows how this is going to end, because this issue ends with death coming for the child of death and saying your time is up. But is it? We don't know. One issue to go. We shall see. I love this book. Stephanie Phillips has described this as like her brainchild. I adore it. I really do adore it. I think the art in here, by the way, from Flaviano is like straight 10 out of 10 work. Fantastic. One of my favorite things about Boom Studios titles is that they really honor and respect when a team is doing it. So it's always Stephanie and it's always Flaviano for Something is Killing the Children. It's always James Tynion and it's always Werther Dell'Edera. So when you're reading it in trade format or whatever, it's so consistent and it's the same team on it throughout. So I love it for that. Yes, Stephanie Phillips did say she is leaving Phoenix too for what she said is her dream project. It's not for what she said is her dream project. I was listening in on a live that Stephanie Phillips does. She's very active on social media. And she said that she went to Marvel and essentially was like, yeah, I'm done. Like, I've told my story. I've done what I wanted to do. Like, if I do anything more, I'm stretching it type of thing. And I I really respect Stephanie for saying that and for being so open about that. And because, you know, like we were like, oh, it's canceled, right? But it wasn't canceled. It was just, this is the story. This is how long it took to be told. And it's done. And that's fine.
Right? Yeah, I know I just gave an audible no, but now learning that, I think that's a good move. I mean, as much as I like the Phoenix series and I think she's absolutely killing it, I am a big proponent of telling the story you're out to tell. Like you said, if you start stretching it, that's when you start jumping the shark. That's when we're getting into the weeds, and I don't want that. I don't want a great series to start falling down just because editorial is like, oh, we need to keep this going. So while it's sad, that makes me excited. I'm excited to see how she wraps up Phoenix. I'm a little bit behind on that. But yeah, I mean, she's just so good, man. The big brain concepts that she be bringing out is, I love it.
And back to Graham, I love this book. I gave this a singular issue 5 stars because even if I don't know like the big twist going into next issue when you're dealing with time as an individual as a concept, um, and you just don't know what twists and turns will take. This as a singular issue is just beautiful. It reminded me of some other stories where death is compassionate, and those are some of my favorite. Yes, we do not know exactly what book Stephanie will be writing for Marvel just yet. We'll have to stay tuned and find out. But I'm excited for it too. When this comes out in its full 25 issue, 25 chapter, whether it's, a compendium or what, I highly recommend this book. This is, I think, my second favorite title from Boom Studios as a whole, just behind Something's Killing the Children, which is still my number one book on the shelf that is not a superhero book. Oh, not our last book. I had one more after this. And it's your book. It's Space Ghost. Space Ghost. Yeah, I did it for you. This is written by David
Thank
Pepose,
you.
artist Jonathan Lau, colorist Andrew Dahlhaus, and letter Taylor Esposito. And it's Space Ghost #1, which came out last week. Man, Dynamite, you're pulling a Marvel here, a new #1. TJ, what happened?
Hey, I'll give some grace here because while it is a #1, they have very much marketed it as this is the next chapter of the Space Ghost series. So while I maybe would have fought back on the #1 and just continued the numbering, I think I can give them a little leeway here. But I mean, we're back, baby. Space Ghost is back. We went on a little hiatus, and I think this was the perfect way to bring us back in. So the first arc of this series was very much about Space Ghost, Jan, Jace, and Blip learning to be a family, getting that family dynamic, and all kind of coming together. And we've gotten there. They are a fan, like they will die for each other. Space Ghost sees them as his own. Jan and Jace just fully are in the Ghost crew. And this series really is just a conversation between Jace, Jan, and supposedly their grandfather. I don't know. I'm questioning this dude a little bit, but they have an opportunity to leave Space Ghost. Like he's like, yeah, like y'all can and he's rich. He's like, y'all can live here, chill out, have a normal life. And it's basically them just explaining like why they won't leave Space Ghost, like why he is their guardian and why they have become this family all through all the things they've went through. So while, and I mean, we still get some great little, Space Ghost action while they're having this conversation. We flash to Space Ghost fighting people, doing stuff. But I think, again, it was a really smart way to open up this new arc to kind of firmly establish the goal that we accomplished in the first half. And, let's hit the ground running for the second half. So I can't say enough good things about it. It's Propose's world. We're just living in it, man. I mean, Space Ghost, Captain Planet, Speed Racer was great. So it's a great time. If you were a fan of cartoons in the 90s, you are freaking eating right now. You're muted, my friend.
Wow, I did mute myself. Thank you, Diamond, for doing all of that. A lot of the heavy lifting on the IP end of the IP that may be long forgotten. Let's talk about some next week's polls. Got a ton of books next week, just like we did this week, because there's a lot of books this week that I pulled that I read that I just didn't have the time to talk about. Very quickly, Nightwing was very cool. A twist at the end of that I did not expect. No spoilers there. The second issue of the new volume of the Umbrella Academy came out this week. Not a whole lot happened in that issue, I'll be honest, but it's just cool that book is back. And of course, Imperial, which is drastically changing the cosmos of the Marvel Universe. So much so, like as we mentioned earlier, seemingly Wiccan and Hulkling no longer Space Kings. Very sad. Next week's polls. I got Absolute Martian Manhunter, Absolute Wonder Woman. Jeff the Landshark is back. The final issue of Lilith is finally coming. Minor Arcana number 10, Superman 29, Ultimate Spider-Man 20, and X-Men 21. We're going to have to sliver some of these down next week because, golly, that's a lot of top-class books. TJ, what you got?
Pretty much the same. Absolute Martian Manhunter is top on my list. And I also have Death of Silver Surfer, which, speaking of MCU synergy, we can get into that in another episode. But also, my favorite Marvel book, not in the Ultimate, Incredible Hulk, number 28. One of my favorite for sure. So good. Friend of the show, Philip Kennedy Johnson. It's just, I hope this book goes on forever. We should have put that in the news. We just got news that Hulk is continuing. I don't know.
Yes.
It might be another number one type thing, but
it is.
Man, does it look cool, dude. Holy
the
shit.
Imperial Hulk?
Awesome. Yeah, honestly, I need to go, I just kind of saw the post about it, but it was one of those things I don't need to know. I'm in 100. I am already sold and I am in. So yeah, Hulk, I'm super excited for.
Fantastic. So I'll do it for this issue of the Comic Corner. Thank you as always for everyone tuning in. Jedi Gensai, TJ, Brandon, all our friends. Thank you so much for tuning in live, and thank you all for tuning in after the fact. A quick shout out. We have an interview up for a brand new Kickstarter, which has already reached its funding goal. It's called Living a Fantasy. It's about a wizard who accidentally did a spell that morphed him with his pet owl. And now the pet owl named Otis is living a fantasy as a wizard owl person. And then it's also a bit of an anthology because you get to see all of the other weird characters going on throughout this universe. And I assume they will all come together to an end. You have like a vampire who's like desperately in love. We have a leprechaun who just can't get any money. Like it's a bunch of like fantasy tropes, but like making fun of the fantasy tropes. And we also have a Peacemaker show tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. I'll do it for this issue of the Comic Corners. Peacemaker Season 2. TJ, you're excited for that, right?
Hell yeah. I loved Season 1. I'm just excited for the intro. That intro of them dancing, I'll literally watch that if I'm in a bad mood. It's just so fun. It makes me happy. And yeah, it's going to be great.
One of my fun facts about Peacemaker is that he didn't actually make his debut in DC Comics.
Vertigo?
There you go. No, Charlton. He is a Connecticut native, ladies and gentlemen. Charlton Comics.
Jeez. Now I don't like him anymore.
Oh.
I bet he eats clam pizza, dude.
Our Peacemaker review of episode 1 will be tomorrow, 8 a.m. Pacific time. If you want to join the show.
That's me.
But I'll do it for this issue of the Comic Corner. Thank you so much for everyone tuning in. Thank you so much for everyone tuning in on the podcast and After Effect. We'll be back next week, 10 a.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Eastern. That is not 8 a.m. Pacific. Oh, yeah, it is 8 a.m. Pacific time. Yeah. I can't do math.
3 hours.
10 a.m. Eastern next week. We'll be back next week. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. And as always, go support your local comic shop. Go to comicshoplocator.com to find the nearest comic shop near you and get some comics.